I, 31M, never thought I'd be in this situation, but here I am, questioning whether I've gone too far in exposing my older brother Zachary's, 36M, web of lies. To understand the complexity of our relationship, I need to take you back to our childhood. Growing up in a bustling suburban neighborhood, Zachary and I were raised in a family that valued success and appearance above all else. Our parents, Jonah, 62M, and Eleanor, 59F, built a thriving restaurant chain from the ground up, starting with a single diner they opened fresh out of college. Their success story was the stuff of local legend, and they made sure we knew the weight of the legacy we were expected to carry. Zachary, being the firstborn, naturally fell into the role of the golden child. From his first steps to his high school graduation, every achievement was celebrated with fanfare. He was charismatic, athletic, and academically gifted, the perfect heir to our family's empire. I, on the other hand, was the quiet, introspective child who preferred tinkering with computers to playing sports or socializing. Our 5-year age gap meant that Zachary was always ahead of me, setting impossibly high standards that I could never quite reach. When he scored the winning touchdown at the state championship, I was still struggling to make the junior varsity team. When he was named valedictorian, I was fighting to maintain a B average. It wasn't that I wasn't intelligent or capable, I simply had different strengths that our parents struggled to recognize or appreciate. The disparity in our parents' treatment became more pronounced as we grew older. Family dinners were dominated by discussions of Zachary's latest accomplishments, while my own achievements, like winning a local coding competition, were met with polite nods and quickly forgotten. This dynamic created a rift between us that widened with each passing year. When Zachary left for an Ivy League college on a partial scholarship, I was still navigating the treacherous waters of high school. Our already limited communication dwindled to obligatory holiday phone calls and the occasional text message. I spent those years trying to find my own path, eventually discovering my passion for software development. After graduation, Zachary landed a job at a prestigious law firm in the city, while I struggled to find my footing in the tech industry. I bounced between entry-level positions, trying to build my skills and make a name for myself. Our parents' pride in Zachary's success was palpable, while their concern about my lack of direction was a constant source of tension during family gatherings. Despite the strain in our relationship, there was one person in our family who always made me feel valued, our grandmother, Evelyn. She was a sharp-witted, independent woman who had built her own successful business in an era when female entrepreneurs were rare. Grandma Evelyn always took the time to ask about my projects and encouraged my interest in technology. She would often tell me, "Alex, the world needs builders and thinkers just as much as it needs leaders and speakers." When Grandma Evelyn passed away 5 years ago, it was a devastating blow to our family. She had been the glue holding us together, the voice of reason in our conflicts. The reading of her will, however, brought an unexpected twist. To everyone's shock, she had left equal shares of her substantial inheritance to both Zachary and me. Our parents were visibly taken aback, having assumed that Zachary would receive the lion's share as the eldest and, in their eyes, more successful grandson. For the first time, I felt truly seen and valued. The inheritance gave me the financial security to take risks in my career, and within a year, I had co-founded a promising tech startup. Our parents, while still favoring Zachary, began to show a bit more interest in my endeavors. The real drama began 2 years ago when Zachary announced his engagement to Sarah, 34F, his girlfriend of 3 years. I had met Sarah a handful of times at family events, and she always struck me as kind and genuine, a stark contrast to Zachary's sometimes overbearing personality. Our parents were ecstatic about the engagement, immediately offering to plan and pay for an extravagant wedding despite Zachary's 6-figure salary. As the wedding preparations kicked into high gear, I found myself reluctantly drawn into the festivities. Zachary asked me to be his best man, a request that surprised me given our strained relationship. In hindsight, I realize he was probably more interested in maintaining the image of a close-knit family than in actually repairing our bond. Everything changed a month before the wedding. I was working late at the office when I received a frantic call from Sarah. She was sobbing uncontrollably, her words barely coherent. As I tried to calm her down, the devastating truth emerged: she had caught Zachary cheating on her with his secretary, Jessica. I was stunned. Zachary had always presented himself as the perfect, upstanding citizen. The idea that he would betray Sarah, and potentially jeopardize his career, seemed inconceivable. Sarah begged me not to tell anyone, insisting that she wanted to confront Zachary herself. Torn between my loyalty to my brother and my sense of right and wrong, I reluctantly agreed to keep her secret. 2 agonizing weeks passed. I avoided Zachary's calls and messages, unsure of how to face him knowing what I knew. Then, out of the blue, Zachary announced that the wedding was off. But the story he told sent shockwaves through our family. According to Zachary, Sarah had cheated on him with a coworker, and he couldn't bring himself to forgive her. I watched in disbelief as our parents rallied around Zachary, offering him unwavering support and condemning Sarah for her supposed infidelity. The cognitive dissonance was overwhelming. I knew the truth, but Sarah's plea for secrecy kept me silent. As days turned into weeks, Zachary's lies spiraled out of control. He began spreading vicious rumors about Sarah in our social circle, painting her as a gold digger who had been unfaithful throughout their relationship. He even claimed that she had stolen money from him, using their joint account to fund shopping sprees and secret rendezvous with her lover. The final straw came when I overheard Zachary on the phone, gloating to a friend about how he had dodged a bullet and how Sarah was getting what she deserved. In that moment, I knew I couldn't stand by and watch an innocent person's reputation be destroyed. With a heavy heart, I reached out to Sarah. She was hesitant to go public with the truth, fearing the backlash and potential impact on her career. But as Zachary's lies grew more outrageous, she realized that staying silent was no longer an option. Armed with Sarah's permission and a dossier of evidence, including text messages between Zachary and Jessica, and security camera footage from Zachary's apartment building showing Jessica's frequent late-night visits, I steeled myself for the confrontation that would change our family forever. I presented the evidence to our parents, bracing for their reaction. The initial shock quickly gave way to denial. They accused me of fabricating the evidence out of jealousy, unable to accept that their golden child could be capable of such deception. Zachary, when confronted, vehemently denied everything, turning the tables and accusing me of conspiring with Sarah to ruin his life. The situation quickly spiraled out of control. Our parents, torn between their two sons, hired a private investigator to get to the bottom of the conflicting stories. When the investigator confirmed my claims, the fallout was catastrophic. Our parents were devastated by Zachary's betrayal and the extent of his deception. The perfect image they had crafted of our family lay shattered at their feet. In the aftermath, they made a drastic decision that none of us saw coming. They amended their will, cutting Zachary out of the family business inheritance entirely. Instead, they decided to split it between me and several charities close to Grandma Evelyn's heart. Zachary's reaction was explosive. He blamed me for ruining his life, accusing me of orchestrating the whole situation out of long-held jealousy. The brother I had grown up with, for all his faults, disappeared entirely, replaced by a bitter, vengeful stranger. Now, 6 months later, the dust is yet to settle. Zachary has launched a campaign to manipulate his way back into our parents' good graces. He's sent countless messages, claiming he's changed and deserves another chance. Our parents, still reeling from the shock, are conflicted about how to proceed. The situation has created a rift in our extended family. Some relatives believe I went too far by exposing Zachary's lies, arguing that family matters should be kept private. Others support my decision, saying that the truth needed to come to light. Zachary has even managed to turn some family members against me, spinning a tale of jealousy and betrayal with himself as the victim. Through all of this, my girlfriend Lauren, 29F, has been my rock. We met at a tech conference 2 years ago, and her unwavering support throughout this ordeal has been invaluable. But even she is feeling the strain of the constant family drama. As I write this, I find myself questioning my actions. Did I do the right thing by exposing Zachary's lies? Should I have minded my own business and let his deception continue? The weight of my decision hangs heavy on my shoulders, and I can't help but wonder, am I the asshole in this situation? Update 1: It's been 2 months since my original post, and I want to thank everyone for their support and advice. Your perspectives have been invaluable in helping me navigate this tumultuous situation. A lot has transpired since then, and I feel compelled to share these developments with you. In the weeks following my last post, Zachary intensified his efforts to regain our parents' trust. His tactics ranged from tearful phone calls to unannounced visits at their home. About 3 weeks ago, he showed up on their doorstep unannounced, his eyes red and puffy, claiming he had hit rock bottom and needed their help. Our parents, despite everything, still have a soft spot for Zachary. They allowed him inside, and this led to a series of what Zachary called family healing sessions, essentially, meetings where he would plead his case and try to convince everyone that he had changed. I was reluctantly dragged into these meetings, watching as Zachary put on what I can only describe as an Oscar-worthy performance. During these sessions, Zachary wove a tale of personal struggle and redemption. He spoke of deep-seated insecurities that had driven him to cheat, of the overwhelming pressure he felt to be perfect, and of the shame that had led him to lie. He claimed to have started seeing a therapist, Dr. Andrews, who was helping him work through his issues. He even produced a letter from this therapist, detailing his progress and commitment to change. I'll admit, there were moments when even I almost believed him. Zachary had always been charismatic, able to charm his way out of trouble, and these performances were no exception. Our parents seemed to be wavering, considering giving him another chance. But something didn't sit right with me. Perhaps it was years of seeing through Zachary's manipulations, or maybe it was just intuition, but I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just another one of his acts. So, I decided to do some digging. My first step was to reach out to Sarah. She had moved to another state to escape the drama, but we had kept in sporadic contact. What she told me chilled me to the bone. Far from being repentant, Zachary had been harassing her with calls and messages. He alternated between begging her to corroborate his lies and threatening her if she didn't comply. Sarah forwarded me some of these messages, and they were disturbing, to say the least. Armed with this information, I knew I needed more concrete evidence if I was going to counter Zachary's elaborate performance. I made the difficult decision to hire a private investigator of my own. It wasn't a step I took lightly, but I felt it was necessary to uncover the truth. Within a week, the investigator had uncovered some startling information. The therapist, Dr. Andrews, didn't exist. The practice address Zachary had given was actually a small coffee shop. During his supposed therapy sessions, Zachary had been spotted multiple times with a woman who was definitely not a therapist. But that wasn't all. The investigator also uncovered evidence that Zachary was involved in some questionable financial dealings at his law firm. While the details were murky, it seemed that Zachary was walking a very thin ethical line, if not crossing it entirely. I was furious. Not only was Zachary continuing to lie, but he was also potentially jeopardizing his career and freedom with his actions. I decided to confront him privately first, giving him one last chance to come clean to our parents himself. I met Zachary at a neutral location, a park where we used to play as children. I laid out what I had discovered and urged him to tell the truth. His reaction shocked me. Instead of showing remorse or even anger, he laughed. He told me that our parents would always choose to believe him over me, no matter what evidence I presented. His arrogance was breathtaking. Realizing that Zachary had no intention of stopping his deception, I knew I had to act. At our next family meeting, I laid out all the evidence. The harassment towards Sarah, the fake therapy sessions, the questionable work activities, everything. I even played a recording the investigator had made of Zachary meeting his new girlfriend at the coffee shop during his supposed therapy time. The reaction was intense. Our parents were shell-shocked, unable to speak for several long moments. Zachary tried to deny it at first, but as the evidence mounted, his composure cracked. He lashed out, revealing his true colors in a way our parents couldn't ignore. He yelled at our parents, calling them gullible fools for ever believing his act. He turned to me, spewing venom about how I had always been jealous of him and how I had orchestrated this whole thing to steal his inheritance. It was a meltdown of epic proportions, and it left no doubt about the person Zachary truly was. In a twist I never saw coming, our parents stood up for me. They shut down Zachary's accusations and told him in no uncertain terms that his actions alone were responsible for the consequences he was facing. They asked him to leave and made it clear that he was no longer welcome in their lives unless he made genuine, verifiable changes. Zachary's exit was dramatic. He stormed out, slamming doors and knocking over a vase in the process. But the drama didn't end there. Within hours, Zachary had taken to social media, twisting the story and painting himself as the victim of a cruel family conspiracy. Some distant relatives and family friends bought into his lies, leading to a flurry of accusatory messages and calls. The aftermath has been challenging. Our parents are struggling to come to terms with the truth about their golden child. They've started seeing a family therapist to work through their feelings of guilt and betrayal. They've also been making efforts to rebuild their relationship with me, realizing how their favoritism had affected our family dynamics all these years. As for me, I'm still processing everything that's happened. The stress has been enormous, but Lauren has been my rock through it all. She's helped me draft responses to the false accusations and has been a calming presence when it all becomes overwhelming. Our relationship has grown stronger through this ordeal, and we're now talking about moving in together. The road ahead is uncertain. Zachary's social media campaign has caused rifts in our extended family and social circle. Some people have sided with him, while others have reached out to offer support. I'm trying to take the high road, focusing on healing and moving forward rather than engaging in a public mudslinging match. As I navigate this new reality, I'm focusing on rebuilding and strengthening the relationships that matter. The situation is far from resolved, but for the first time in years, I feel like my parents are truly seeing me. It's a bittersweet feeling, coming at such a high cost. I stand firm in my decision to expose the truth, no matter how painful it has been. The road ahead is uncertain, but I'm cautiously optimistic about the future. Thank you all again for your support and advice. It's been invaluable in helping me navigate this complex and emotionally charged situation. Update 2: It's been another 3 months since my last update, and the situation has taken some unexpected turns. I apologize for the delay in updating, but things have been hectic, to say the least. First, some positive news: Lauren and I moved in together last month. It's been a wonderful change, having a supportive partner to come home to every day. She's been instrumental in helping me navigate the ongoing family drama, offering a fresh perspective and a shoulder to lean on when things get tough. We've been talking about our future more seriously, and for the first time in a long while, I'm excited about what lies ahead. Now, on to the more complicated aspects of the situation. About a month ago, I received a message from a woman named Rachel, 32F, who introduced herself as Zachary's new girlfriend. At first, I was wary, assuming this was another one of Zachary's manipulations. But as we continued to communicate, it became clear that Rachel was genuine, and she was terrified. Rachel had discovered Zachary's true nature and wanted out of the relationship, but she was afraid of his reaction. Over a series of cautious meetings, always in public places, Rachel shared some disturbing information about Zachary's behavior. She showed me text messages where Zachary had threatened her when she confronted him about inconsistencies in his stories. But the most shocking revelation was yet to come. Rachel, who worked as a paralegal at a different law firm, had stumbled upon evidence of financial fraud at Zachary's firm. She had overheard a phone conversation where Zachary discussed manipulating client accounts and had seen suspicious documents on his laptop. Rachel was torn between her fear of Zachary and her ethical obligation to report what she knew. I was conflicted about what to do with this information. On one hand, I was exhausted from being the one to always expose Zachary's misdeeds. The emotional toll of the past few months had been immense, and part of me just wanted to wash my hands of the whole situation. On the other hand, I couldn't in good conscience ignore potential criminal activity, especially one that could harm innocent clients. After much discussion with Lauren, who once again proved to be my voice of reason, I decided to encourage Rachel to report what she knew to the proper authorities. I also advised her to seek legal counsel for her own protection, given Zachary's history of retaliation. Rachel was understandably hesitant, fearing for her safety and career, but ultimately agreed it was the right thing to do. 2 weeks later, all hell broke loose. Zachary was arrested on charges of embezzlement and fraud. The news made local headlines, and our family was thrust into the spotlight once again. Our parents were devastated, struggling to reconcile the son they thought they knew with the person Zachary had become. The fallout was immediate and far-reaching. Zachary's law firm distanced themselves from him, releasing a statement that they were cooperating fully with the investigation. Our extended family was in an uproar, with opinions sharply divided. Some finally saw the truth and apologized for doubting me, while others doubled down on their support for Zachary, claiming he was being framed. In the midst of this chaos, I received a surprise visit from Sarah. She had heard about Zachary's arrest and wanted to thank me for standing up for her months ago. We had a long, emotional conversation where she shared more details about her relationship with Zachary and the psychological toll his behavior had taken on her. It was eye-opening and heartbreaking, making me realize the full extent of the damage Zachary had caused. Our parents are shell-shocked. They've retreated from social life, embarrassed by the public scandal. I've been trying to support them as best I can, but it's challenging given our complicated history. They've started to acknowledge how their favoritism towards Zachary enabled his behavior, which has led to some painful but necessary conversations. As for me, I'm dealing with a mix of emotions. There's relief that the truth is finally out, sadness for the pain my family is going through, and anxiety about what the future holds. Lauren has suggested I start seeing a therapist to process everything, and I'm seriously considering it. The stress of the past few months has taken its toll, and I realize I need help to work through it all. Zachary's trial is set for next month, and I've been asked to testify. It's not something I look forward to, but I know it's necessary. The whole situation is surreal, and sometimes I can't believe this is my life. I find myself wondering how we got here, how the brother I looked up to as a child could have fallen so far. Through all of this, I'm trying to focus on the positives. My relationship with Lauren is stronger than ever, I'm excelling at work, the distraction has been welcome, and I'm slowly building a healthier relationship with my parents. It's not easy, but I'm taking it one day at a time. As I prepare for the trial and whatever comes after, I'm grateful for the support I've received from this community. Your advice and encouragement have been a lifeline during this turbulent time. I'll update again after the trial, hopefully with some resolution to this ongoing saga. Update 3: It's been 6 weeks since my last update, and I'm still reeling from everything that's happened. Zachary's trial concluded last week, and the outcome has left our family in turmoil once again. The trial itself was a grueling experience. Sitting in that courtroom, watching as the prosecution laid out the evidence of Zachary's crimes, was surreal. The Zachary I saw there, in his suit and handcuffs, seemed like a stranger. His eyes were cold, his demeanor arrogant even in the face of damning testimony. My own time on the stand was particularly difficult. Zachary's defense attorney tried to paint me as a jealous brother out for revenge, twisting my words and actions. But the evidence spoke for itself. Rachel's testimony was particularly damning, providing insider knowledge of Zachary's fraudulent activities. Despite the mountain of evidence against him, Zachary managed to strike a plea deal at the 11th hour. He pleaded guilty to lesser charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. He'll serve 2 years in a minimum security prison, followed by 3 years of probation. He's also required to pay substantial restitution to his firm and affected clients. The plea deal has divided our family even further. Some see it as a miscarriage of justice, believing Zachary deserved a harsher sentence for the extent of his crimes and the lives he's affected. Others are relieved, thinking this might be the wake-up call he needs to turn his life around. Our parents are torn, struggling to reconcile their love for their son with the reality of his actions. I've been dealing with my own complicated feelings about the outcome. Part of me is angry that Zachary seems to have gotten off lightly given the extent of his crimes. Another part is relieved that this chapter is finally closing, hoping that we can all start to heal. Lauren has been invaluable in helping me process these conflicting emotions. In an unexpected turn of events, Sarah reached out again after the trial. She started a support group for people who have been in relationships with narcissists and invited me to speak at one of their meetings. I was hesitant at first, unsure if I was ready to revisit all the pain. But after attending a session, I found it incredibly healing. It's helped me understand Zachary's behavior patterns and the impact they've had on all of us. I'm considering becoming a regular member. Our parents have been making slow but steady progress in therapy. They've started to recognize how their parenting style contributed to the family dynamics that allowed Zachary's behavior to go unchecked for so long. It's been painful for them, but I'm proud of their efforts to change. We're having more open, honest conversations than we've had in years. As for me, I've started seeing a therapist as Lauren suggested. It's been challenging but enlightening. I'm working on setting healthier boundaries and processing the years of being the family scapegoat. It's a long journey, but I already feel like I'm making progress. Work has been a welcome distraction through all of this. I recently got a promotion, which has been a bright spot in an otherwise turbulent time. Lauren and I are also talking about our future more seriously, including the possibility of getting engaged. It feels good to have something positive to focus on amidst all the chaos. Zachary is due to start his sentence next month. He's been uncharacteristically quiet since the trial, and I'm unsure what to make of it. Part of me hopes this experience will lead to genuine change, but I'm also wary of getting my hopes up. I've learned the hard way not to underestimate Zachary's capacity for deception. As I navigate this new reality, I'm focusing on healing and moving forward. The road ahead is uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, I feel hopeful about the future. I'm learning to let go of the anger and resentment I've carried for so long, focusing instead on building a life that isn't defined by my relationship with Zachary.